Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. Sorry I haven't been around much for a while, but you know how it goes. I needed a week off from YouTube. And guys, I'm back with my batteries fully recharged. And so today we're going to be following again the story of Colt and Jess. And this is 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, Season 5, Episode 8, Hell Hath No Fury. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also you can follow me on Twitter at Ebird99. So without further ado, I give you Colt and Jess. So when we see these guys, there's Jess, Colt and Debbie, and they're all going to Jess's house to say goodbye to her family because they're now leaving her hometown to go to Sao Paulo. So they stand at the gates of the family house, and Jess has presents for all of her family, and she also gives Debbie some presents. A pair of Havaianas and a couple of bottles of spirits. Try as you might to get her drunk, Jess, she's not going to forget your rude behaviour last time she was here. And Jess carefully explains to us that even though Debbie was really rude to her, she's still going to give her a gift. She said, never mind if the person is good or bad, you get a gift. I kinda like that. Sounds just like the kind of place for Ebird. No matter how bad I am, I still get a gift. But I've got to say one thing, Jess, it was you who was rude to Debbie, not the other way round. And I know a lot of you guys were saying it's nothing to do with Debbie if Colt and Jess want to get married quickly. But I thought the level of rudeness and the swearing was way too much from Jess. And one of my subscribers also said that the actual literal translation of what Jess said was not son of a bitch, but son of a whore, which I'm sure you'll all agree is somewhat worse. And then Colt decided to take Silvio aside for a private chat. They did this private chat about 5 meters away from the whole family, and the whole family stood in line watching them as they privately chatted. Colt took his phone out of his pocket, and by way of an app, he asked Jess's dad if he could marry Jess. And guys, I literally couldn't believe it. Colt couldn't even be bothered to work out how to say it in Brazilian. He actually had it typed on his phone and he had to awkwardly show Silvio. And Silvio read the message and he agreed. And apparently he likes Colt. He says he believes Colt is of good standing. And it doesn't surprise me now that Jess went chasing after Colt. She's obviously learned everything she knows from her dad, who's clearly no judge of character. And Colt and Silvio hug as the whole family look on. Debbie looks quite perturbed. So they get into the taxi, and Jess says she's sad because she might not see her dad for 9 months or even a year. And Debbie pipes up immediately, wait, your visa expires in 6 months, so surely you'll see your dad in 6 months. In 6 months' time, you'll be back in Sao Paulo. And Jess tries to ignore this, and Colt does his best to ignore it as well. And Jess said, well, I have plans to stay in America for longer. And to production, Debbie said she's really concerned about Jess's visa. I'm sure you are, Debbie. I'm sure you wouldn't like her to overstay, because as we all know, that's illegal. And Debbie then asked Colt, what were you talking to Jess's dad about? And Colt says, football? Football? Oh, Colt. Brazilians play what Americans call soccer. Americans play American football. So which were you talking about? No doubt you were talking about your absolute despair of the fact that the World Cup has been moved from 2020 until 2021 because of this awful virus. Memo to Colt. When telling a lie, try to make it just a little bit believable. And I'm beginning to come to the conclusion that lying to Colt is just talking. Whenever he talks, he lies. And again, Debbie tells production she doesn't know if to believe Colt or not. I can tell you, Debbie, not. And she says ominously, if they're planning on getting married, I believe it's a terrible mistake and I'll do everything in my power to stop it. And the Ebird thinks Larissa can attest to the fact that Debbie's quite skilled in this area. My money's on Debbie. And so they arrive at hotel number 2, and it's far better than hotel number 1 because this time Colt put his hand in his pocket and bought them separate rooms. Colt and Jess go to their room and Debbie decides to check in on the cats. And so she calls Vanessa for a chat. And Vanessa asks her, how are things going? And Debbie tells her that Jessica was very rude to her. And Vanessa doesn't like this. And then Debbie tells her about the visa. And Vanessa likes this even less. And then Debbie tells her about Colt maybe getting married. And Vanessa likes this least of all. Vanessa tells Debbie, you need to put a stop to this, Debbie. And Debbie agrees with her. And she said that sabotage was the order of the day. Guys, I can't wait for this sabotage. I wonder in what form it will come. I wonder when it will come. Wait no longer, D-Day is here. So remember about 3 or 4 episodes ago, when out of the blue, Debbie just started talking about the cats to Colt. And I said at that time, Debbie is shaping up to drop a bomb. She's going to let Jessica know that Vanessa is looking after the cats. And as we remember, Colt has already told Jess that he's no longer speaking to Vanessa at all. Next up, Colt and Jess come tripping into the room and they're colour coordinated. And they say they're going out to meet some of Jess's friends and would Debbie like to join them? Now guys, I know you're going to say I'm overly paranoid, and I am. But just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get me. Now it's my belief that nothing says third wheel, odd man out, than someone hanging out with a colour coordinated couple. So I don't know whose idea this whole colour coordination was, but going down all dressed up to the nines, already colour coordinated, and saying, "Debbie, come out with us," is, I believe, a disingenuous invite. Colt may be unaware, but Jess knows good and well that Debbie's going to feel the odd man out. And like I say, it is a bit of a reach, but the Ebird can't help but think it's a subliminal message. So Jess says to Debbie, "Oh, come on Debbie, come out, join us." And Debbie turns around and says, "Colt, the cats are absolutely fine. I've just spoken to Vanessa." Debbie, it wasn't even in the run of the conversation. And immediately, all hell broke loose. Debbie played innocent, and Jess turned round to Colt and gave him the evil eye, and Colt said, "She's just looking after the cats." And Jess said, "But you told me you were no longer speaking to her." And Debbie said, "They're my cats. Vanessa's looking after the cats for me, not for him. Vanessa's a really good person." And Jess said, "She's a bitch. She wants sex with you, Colt." And Colt said, "No, she doesn't want sex with Colt." "Really, Colt? How do you know?" "Oh, that's it, because you've already had sex with her once. And when you gave her the opportunity for second helpings, she turned you down. That's how you know that Vanessa doesn't want sex with you." But Debbie's getting into her stride right now. She starts lecturing to Jess, and she said, "You don't trust Colt, and if you have no trust, you have a real problem. No relationship can prosper without trust." And Colt weighed in and said, "We do have trust issues. Either you love me and trust me, or..." And then Debbie jumped in again and said, "You don't love him and you don't trust him." Colt, of course she doesn't trust you. You've just been caught in a lie. The word sorry should be fixing to come out of your mouth at this point." And Jess just storms out. And production asked Debbie, "Did you know Jess had a problem with Vanessa?"
Did you know Jess had an issue with Vanessa?
And then Colt said to production, "I think for the first time I'm seeing Jess for who she really is." And Jess is really starting to lose it. And that was where the story ended for this week. Guys, we've got a lot to unpack. As we know, Debbie set this all up, and it's very clear from her aside with production that she knew good and well that this would cause a problem. She didn't even insert it into the conversation properly. Jess asked her to go out, and she just said, "Oh, by the way, the cats are fine." And you could tell at that point she wanted to stop this little outing between Colt and Jess's friends. And like I said before, she put this little card in her back pocket, ready to pull it out whenever she needed it. And as per usual, Colt is brimming with bullshit. Now let's analyse a few of his statements. So he said, "For the first time, I'm seeing Jess for who she really is." No, you're not. You saw this attitude and this shouting from Jess just a couple of nights ago. Or have you forgotten? And Colt and his mum tried to gaslight Jess by saying, "You have no trust. If you have no trust, you can't have a relationship." Of course there's no trust. Colt, you have just lied to her, and you have just been caught in this lie. Please put your hands up if you trust somebody the moment you catch them in a lie. Of course you don't. Another one of Colt's statements is, "Vanessa and I are just friends." Again, not true. You fancy Vanessa madly. Vanessa, it seems, is none too keen on you. They've slept together once. And Colt said, "I really fancied her, but she didn't return the favour, so I kept it moving." So ostensibly what you're saying is, if Vanessa would have you, that's where you'd be. And I think that Jess is no fool. Jess picks this up. And the bullshit overflow continues. When Colt says to production, Jess purports herself to be a happy-go-lucky girl, but she's not. She hides all her feelings. No, she doesn't, Colt. Jess actually told you in Chicago that she didn't like your relationship with Vanessa. And she said, "I'd rather it if you didn't speak to her." And you agreed. I think that was stupid. If you are now just friends, you should have said, "Well, I'll still speak to her because we're only friends, but you can come and meet her." But you didn't say that. You agreed not to speak to her. So be a man of your word. And don't say that Jessica's hiding her feelings. She made her feelings known. She made her feelings known then, and she's making her feelings known now. In fact, whenever she hears the word Vanessa, she flies right off the handle. And she also told all her friends about Vanessa. It's not as if we don't know what Jessica thinks of Vanessa. So let's not play the innocent now, Colt. You know very well that behaviour X, a lie, yields result Y, mistrust. and that is what you are dealing with right now. But instead of actually accepting, yeah, I shouldn't have lied to her, Jess, I'm so sorry, let's see if we can talk this out, you gang together with your mother and start screaming at her about trust and love and I've done nothing to make her not trust me. Yes, you have. You've said you haven't slept with Vanessa when you have, and you said you're no longer speaking with Vanessa, and you are. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think this was a timely and magnificent gameplay by Debbie? There's evidence to suggest so. She made sure that Jessica didn't have the support of her family anymore, and so if there was any argument, she'd be on the same side as Colt, and Jessica would be on the other side. Jessica certainly was more animated when she was with her family. So I think Debbie wanted to wait until Jessica was in a weak position. And do you think, like I do, that Colt is nothing but a gaslighter, trying to make Jessica feel paranoid and ridiculous for not trusting him when he knows very well he's nothing but a liar? So please let me know down below, and as usual I'll weigh in on the comments. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to be dropping more videos later on this week, so if you haven't done already, please subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell so you'll know immediately when a video is dropped. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.